how your AMC shares could be being lent out without your permission. Now, obviously, this is a massive deal because if your shares are being lent, that means they're not covered under SIPC insurance. And on top of that, if your shares are being lent out, that means your vote will not be counted for the ape conversion and reverse split. Hey, welcome to AMC Daily. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications by hitting the bell so you never miss any of our uploads, and also enter our giveaway. But everyone, remember, this is not a financial advice video. So, as Cajun tweeted, he said a friend got this email from Charles Schwab last night saying his interest rate on his AMC shares went down. Now, he called and verified that they had lent out his shares without his permission because, as far as he was aware, his shares were not being lent out. As you can see, this email says that his AMC shares that were being lent out have just fallen in lending rate from 90% down to 82.5%. But obviously, this guy had no idea that his shares were actually being lent out under the Charles Schwab Securities Lending Fully Paid program. Therefore, it is definitely worth double-checking your account to make sure that your securities are not being lent without your permission. I think the best way to do this would be to contact support and ask them directly if your shares are being lent. Now, it's also not just Charles Schwab, because Interactive Brokers have actually changed their entire user agreement to lend out your shares without permission. Biotech Moose tweeted saying Interactive Brokers' new client agreement. Interactive Brokers can lend out your shares without asking you and without notifying you. This way, Interactive Brokers is using your shares against you while they collect interest and find, locates, or give real share locates to these shorts wanting to short your shares. This new user agreement introduced a new paragraph for stock lending activity and our rights to use your assets. It says by using Interactive Brokers, you consent to Interactive Brokers lending out your collateral, securities, or other property. And it says that Interactive Brokers and its affiliates may, from time to time and without notice to you, rehypothecate all of your collateral, securities, and other property as well. And Interactive Brokers or its affiliates may so pledge, replenish, hypothecate, or rehypothecate your collateral, securities, and other property as well. Now, I think this is really important because even if you're not using Interactive Brokers directly, a lot of trading platforms actually clear through Interactive Brokers. What I'm basically trying to say is that Interactive Brokers is very similar to Apex Clearing. Obviously, you don't trade using the Apex Clearing app, but many of your trading platforms, like Robinhood, Webull, and many others, all use Apex Clearing. So it's probably a good idea to make sure that your trading platform doesn't use Interactive Brokers to clear their trades, or your securities are likely being lent out without your permission and without notice either. And as just another rat toy tweeted, he said also, when your shares are on loan, the customer loses their SIPC insurance, which is $500,000 per account. Basically saying if your trading platform does go bankrupt during the squeeze, but during the squeeze, your shares are actually being lent out, it means that trading platform is under no duty to replace your shares with the SIPC insurance. SIPC insurance only covers the final holdup of the share. Basically, that means whoever is actually borrowing your shares. And on top of that, as Hermes Mama tweeted, she said from her latest chat with TD Ameritrade, if your shares are on loan, you get no vote. And AMC also doesn't get to see your information. As shareholder, she asked TD Ameritrade saying if my shares are out on loan, are they reported to the issuing institution for proxy voting purposes? And as Katharina replied, she said sorry for the wait. If your shares are being lent out, then you would not receive a proxy vote. Again, I think it's definitely worth double-checking to make sure that your shares are not being lent out. Even if you did receive your proxy vote and then started lending out your shares, your vote may not actually be counted. So therefore, for the fact that you don't receive SIPC insurance and the fact that your vote is not being counted, I definitely think it's worth double-checking to make sure your securities are not being lent out. As the old saying in crypto goes, not your keys and not your coins. Basically saying that if your shares are being lent out, they're not really your shares anymore. And as Ferry tweeted, he said he believes this is the final straw for Interactive Brokers. He said Peter Fee is obviously desperate, and prior to this statement, he did hear gossip that they were lending without your permission. Anyway, we know that Thomas Peterffy looked very uncomfortable in his recent interview, and Thomas Peterffy is obviously the chairman of Interactive Brokers. We can clearly see that considering Interactive Brokers are implementing this new user agreement, they're clearly desperate for your shares. Whether that's to lend out to short sellers, for them to short the stock down further, or whether they want to vote with your shares. I don't know the answer, but clearly Interactive Brokers right now is desperate. And this also comes at a very interesting time when Kevin Malone believes that he's finally figured out Ken Griffin's. He tweeted saying in the Madoff docuseries, "The report of a Barron's goes when they said Bernie's fund was up in 2001. When every other investment fund out there was down, he said he knew something was off." Basically saying that when the report of a Barron's heard that Bernie Madoff was making money in 2001, when everyone else was losing money, he knew that Bernie must have been a fraud. Which is obviously very interesting because Ken Griffin's Citadel was one of the only hedge funds to set a profit for last year. And not just a set of profit, but they actually set a record-breaking profit or a record-breaking profit. And this article says that Ken Griffin's hedge fund, Citadel, is up again in 2023 following a record year. Clearly, somehow Ken Griffin is the only hedge fund manager to be making profits in 2022 and 2023. It's likely because Ken Griffin is potentially cooking his books to appear more profitable than other hedge funds because he's desperate for more cash. And as Unjewel Wales tweeted, it seems that Citadel actually charged their clients $12 billion in fees and expense in 2022. I can kind of understand why many of these Citadel clients are desperately trying to pull money out of their fund to the point where Ken Griffin had to limit withdrawals. Ken Griffin has basically tied all of his clients' money up in positions that he can't escape from. And now he's charging them $12 billion a year in fees for effectively locking up his clients' money. His clients, like he know that Ken can't close out of his positions out of these giant illegal short positions. They can't even really get their money out, and he's also charging them crazy fees to do so. Finally, as Frank's Place tweeted, we're also seeing once again Antara is doubling down even more on their AMC shares by purchasing yet another 4 million shares of AMC. Antara clearly also believes that many of these hedge funds and trading platforms like Interactive Brokers are screwed, and that's why they're buying up more AMC shares. Again, it seems crazy interesting that we still own 80 or 90% of the float, but yet Antara can still go out there and buy up tens of millions of AMC shares. That's obviously because these infinite liquidity fairies are just creating more shares for these funds and for us retail investors to buy up. In the long run, though, I do think this is good, because these infinite liquidity fairies are effectively just digging themselves an even deeper hole. And it seems that Antara has picked up on that as well, as they've yet again just exercised another total return swap to buy up an extra 4 million shares. Antara is therefore clearly even more preparing for the coming AMC squeeze. Guys, that's all we have for you today. What is your opinion about AMC stock? Get involved and let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.